Hey there, everybody. Shadow Phoenix here. Welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster. It is Tuesday, which means a couple of things. The DLC for Planet Coaster comes out today, but it also means that it is time for our challenge part, Whitaker Lake today. So, as everybody is patiently waiting for Frontier to release today's Studios update pack, or the update DLC, I thought, hey, let's go ahead and get this done here. Alright, so what we are doing is we are now in year 21, I think, here. And what I decided to do for this year in the park is to add a one of those giant splashdown rides, one of the giant flumes. Unfortunately, we don't actually have this ride in the game, so I had to get a little bit creative with this one. Which, I really wish we did have this in the game, but unfortunately we don't. We have the water coaster now, which does make this slightly easier to build, and it works a little better. You get the splashdown, you get the kind of flume on top of it and everything. So, you even get kind of the boats that kind of float on top of the water. So it does slightly work. It just doesn't work as well as what a giant flume should work. Because it's a water coaster. But anyway, so what I decided to do was I used the Anubis coaster for this one. The reason I chose that one is because I looked through all the different coasters that we have in the game, and track wasn't really a big thing as much. I'm sorry, guys. I'm very, very tired. I've been up all night. I haven't slept yet. I'm waiting on this DLC to drop. So if I say weird things, just gotta bear with me. Alright, so anyway, I looked through all the different coasters, and what I was looking at was the track or the cars themselves. And I thought the Anubis was the closest one kinda to what I needed. Once I had that, I put them on as single cars instead of actually one, two, or three different, trains. So each train is just a single car. And then I did the layout of the ride. Basically goes up, comes around, makes a turn at the top, comes back around, splashes down at the bottom. That's pretty much what most of these things do. Some of them have a double drop. Some of them kind of make a figure 8 pattern, but the basic ones are just up, turn, back down, and splash. And that's what we kind of did in this one. So making the actual coaster was the easy part. And the next part we had to do was the hardest part, and that was to actually make the flume itself. So I tried a few different things, and I settled on doing it this way. Using basic shapes, I went in and created kind of the flumes. Now these are not perfect. I should have made them deeper, and maybe just slightly wider as well. But by the time I already had most of it done and realized that it wasn't going to be deep enough as far as the flume itself, it was a bit too late at that point. So, I didn't want to go back and redo it and then have to move all these over. But it still worked pretty good. Now, I did them in very, very, short links so that I could make the turns and the adjustments and stuff just perfect. But yeah, that's essentially what I have pretty much done here. Once we figured out what we were going to do as far as the flume and everything, I pretty much made each piece in as part of a building. That way I could move them and kind of, alter them and turn them the way I wanted. I was really kind of worried about once I got to the top and started doing the turns at the top, how that would look. And that's another reason why I used the very, very short pieces, which took me longer to do, but in the end, I really liked how this came out. Unfortunately, the guests didn't care for it too much. For a coaster, it wasn't exciting to them. Pretty much all I did was go up, turn, drop, and bring them back to the station. They didn't care for that. There was just not enough prestige on it, not enough excitement for them. So yeah, this is another ride in the park that looks fantastic, but yet doesn't get the guests' attention as I was kind of hoping it would. Very few riders in the long run, but I was happy with it because I was able to get the giant the giant flume ride, which is something that most parks were kind of adding around this particular era and right around this time of year, or not time of year. What? I'm been up all night, so This video is going to seem really, really odd because I'm just kind of like rambling on and not really talking about much. But yeah, so I don't really have a whole lot else to say about this, really. Let's see. I had to make some alterations to it, and I did make it slightly larger after we started, and I did make some slight changes to it, you know, before I actually started to move it up the hill, when I actually realized I was going to need those changes. So that's when I kind of started making a few changes. But once we got too far into it, it was just impossible. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't do the lift heel, and I also did not do, as it comes around the curve, I didn't do that part either, because I figured once it hits the water, the flume is going to kind of be the end of it. We were lucky right about this time when I was building this that we started to be able to get the you know, to move things down into the terrain and stuff, so I could actually put this coaster down into the water and actually make it splash. But we still had to use like splash effects to actually get it done. If you guys really, really like this, and you would like, you know, to have maybe this flume in your park, you can get it. It is on my workshop right now, so my workshop links are in my description below the video there. You can always go down in there and grab that, go in there, take a look around. You might find some other stuff in there you kind of like, including the entire park, which is currently in its phase 2 status, which is pretty much done. I've mentioned this a couple of times. I'll probably go back in and maybe change a few things here and there, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the park as it stands right now. So yeah, these angles were kind of tough to do right there at that point, but I was able to kind of get them in there. If you look at it real close, you can see the seams, and you can see, like, you know, the faults, I guess you could call it. But, you know, from a distance and, you know, not really looking at it too closely, yeah, it works great. I really wish I had made the trench bigger. I could always go back and maybe redo this another time. In fact, I kind of did. I actually went into this park for, I guess I'm going to give a spoiler here away, but yeah, for Crystal Gardens, I decided to do another splashdown ride like this, except in a figure 8 pattern. Yeah, I'm definitely spoiling. So I went into this park and I grabbed the actual flume itself. I did have to change it, but it wasn't too hard to go in there. I just had to make it a little lengthier. And then I made my lift heel. Was it the lift tail I did? I think it was. No, maybe I didn't do the lift tail. But I definitely did the drop for the water coaster using this same method. And I think the water coaster method actually comes out better than the Anubis does. You get a little bit more prestige off of it than you do, like a little more excitement than you do the Anubis coaster. And you actually have boats instead of, like, you know, just using the Anubis ride. Because if you really look closely at the Anubis cars, yeah, there's like, there would definitely be water in those cars, and it's not really much of a boat. So, but they do kind of look like a boat. Alright, so at this point what I was kind of doing was just digging down so I could actually put the coaster down into the water. Now, I've talked about this a little bit before, and I'm not sure how many people still like don't know this trick or anything, but you can actually like move a coaster, like specifically where you want it, like the advanced move. A lot of people are like, oh, if only you could use advanced move on the coasters and the rides. You can. Since I've got a little bit of spare time here to talk, let's talk about that, for example. So what you want to do is the multi-select tool down in the bottom right hand corner. You want to click that, and then you want to click your ride, such as what I did here with the water coaster. And as soon as I click the ride, I hit X after I have the ride selected, and then it lets me advance move it. So if you just click the coaster itself, it will not let you do advanced move. You can only move it, and as soon as you hit the move tool, it just flops it every which way, and yeah, that doesn't work. It's not able to be exact with it. But go down, hit the multi-select tool, select your coaster, hit X after you have the coaster selected, and you'll be able to use advanced move on the coaster. So for something like this, raise it up out of your way, dig your lake, and then move the coaster back down into the water, which is what I pretty much had to do here. Now, as you can see here, I did run into some problems trying to get the cars back into the station. I guess they hit the water and they didn't want to go, you know, up that little loop right there. I'm not sure why, but they didn't. So I think I ended up putting, I put in some, let's see, not the brakes. I put in some of the tires, the drive tires, I think there, and that worked fine. Now with that done, and we have the main layout done and everything, we'll finish up the splash right here. We will add the special effects to it, and then it comes time to figure out how we are going to like theme this ride. And I was kind of like on the fence about how I was going to theme it. It was just, I just wanted it to be like a generic splashdown ride. So, yeah, I just kind of decided to go with like a New England kind of feel with a lighthouse and stuff. And it's got a very simple name. I think I just called it the Plunge or something like that. And it's got a very, you know, I just did kind of like a boathouse kind of thing with a lighthouse attached to it. I added some tiny little boats and life preservers here and there. For the exit, I brought the exit out over top of the splashdown so that people can stand on the exit and like get soaked if they want to. Like if it's a really, really hot day, then they can go up on the exit part of the exit ramp, I should say. Stand over top of the splash, and the splash will actually hit you and cool you down if it's a really hot day. That's kind of how most of these work. What you're seeing me do right here is to kind of close in the gap and make it look like, you know, kind of this is where like people could watch it kind of go in and turn right there. Not really a pier, but more of a, not really a boardwalk either, but just kind of like a viewing area, so to say, kind of circular around there. And that let me kind of, instead of like kind of having these jagged shapes and jagged edges around where I dug it out, I could actually just kind of put these around it and, you know, be able to smooth it out and make it look a little more solid, a little more like it belongs, instead of just like land that was just kind of dug out. And here's where I do the ramp, which I didn't have too much trouble out of that, but I did have a whole lot of trouble trying to get it back down on the ground for some reason. Hey, and guess what? In today's update, part of the free update, you don't have to buy the DLC for this. Path tunneling is added, which means you can flatten things out better now. So it will help to make bridges and stuff, I think. We'll find out a little later as soon as the DLC hits. But yeah, so I'm going to, I guess I don't really have anything else to talk about. I am going to make a video here shortly as soon as the DLC launches, and we're going to do an overview of all the DLC and stuff that we're going to have. We're going to talk about my thoughts about it, so be prepared. You may not like my opinions, but they are my opinions. I am no way bashing the game in any way. These are just my opinions about my thoughts about the DLC. So yeah, my last video that I did about that was quite controversial. I got a ton of negative, you know, like thumbs downs, but that's fine. I think a lot of you thumbed me down without even watching the video. You know, I think you just saw the title and was like, what? No, he's talking bad about Planet Coaster. He thumb down. Well, you should have paid attention to the video. My points are valid. Yeah, I feel like they are. But I'm not going to get into that in this video. We'll look at the DLC together. Now that's actually released, I did watch the stream yesterday. I kind of got an idea of what to expect. There are some things that I was like, yes to, and then there was other things like, I don't know. But yeah, we'll take a look at it and see how it works in person instead of just watching somebody else do it, and see if we can kind of, you know, look and see what's going on with some of these things. But that is going to do it for me. I'm going to leave you guys here with a showcase view of the Plunge here in just a moment. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you a little later. We are going to do the Planet Coaster overview of the new DLC, the Studios Pack, and then I will be doing a live stream for most all day. We're going to play Planet Coaster, and we are going to like really delve into the DLC and stuff and build and stuff with some things. And then we are going to play some Far Cry 5, which also releases today. So I got a big day ahead of me, with no sleep whatsoever. Hopefully I can get maybe a few hours or something in, but we'll kind of see how things go. Until then, thanks again, guys. I very, very much appreciate all my fans, and I will see you a little later today. Thanks. Hey everyone, if you'd like to help support me and my channel, I have a Patreon page where you can do just that. You can pledge anything from $1 or more. Anyone who pledges $15 or more gets a unique, specially designed roller coaster and Planet Coaster made just for them. My little way of saying thanks. You can also just send donations as well if you don't want to join Patreon. You can find those links in the video description below. Every tiny red cent I make from these means the world to me and is extremely helpful. If you're interested in my PC setup that I work with and play on that you see here, every piece of the system is described below with links to Amazon if you want to purchase them or anything else. Thanks for tuning in to my videos and my channel. If you aren't already a subscriber, click that on the screen below. And you can also check out a few of my other videos on the screen here as well. You can keep up to date on what's going on in my own little world via Twitter or watch me stream live on Twitch as well. Links are in the video description below. So wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night.